Hi, my name is Mark Edwards, and today in this short video I'll tell you a life-changing story about how I figured out how to easily generate insane amounts of energy for the past 2 years. I'm talking about a simple device that can be used by any family around the world and can even change the course of the entire energy industry. Over the past year, 17,000 people have also already successfully used the very same technique to get over tragic milestones such as hurricanes, snowstorms, and floods. Based on technology that we use on a daily basis, not only can it generate enough power to last through long, harsh winters with temperatures below zero, but it can ameliorate your power bill all year long. Now, I'm sure you're already intrigued and you want to know all about how this system works. And honestly, it's like nothing you've ever seen. And in just a few minutes from now, you will be outraged that you've ever paid a single cent to Big Electric. So you absolutely need to watch this short presentation today while it's still up. I don't know how much longer I'll be able to have this free presentation online. So watch this right now while you still can. But before we continue, let me tell you who I am and how this all got started. As I mentioned before, my name is Mark Edwards. I'm a 56-year-old geography teacher from Memphis, Tennessee. Now, folks who live here know that high energy bills are somewhat of an issue, and we've been fighting them for years. And we've never liked paying through our noses for simple things that everybody should be able to afford, like using the electric appliances without restriction. However, we simply settled, thinking that's the economy, or maybe it'll be better next year. And month after month after month, we were struggling not to fall behind on the bills. All that until the winter of 2015, December 29th, Tuesday, the absolute worst day of my life. Now, the news warned the population about the rising of the freezing waters of Mississippi, but we never had problems. We were miles from the river and we were safe. But this time it was different. Now, around 7 p.m., the news warned everybody in the area that the river had risen like never before, and after just a few minutes, all the lights went off. Now, I immediately thought it was just a simple blackout, and I went to check on my wife and my 2 daughters, and they were fine for the moment. See, the Mississippi River had broken out of its bed and flooded the surroundings. It ripped down hundreds of power lines around our area, and we suddenly found ourselves completely without power. Now, my wife and I discussed about driving to my parents in Lexington, Kentucky, but we were looking at a 6-hour drive in the night. So we decided to wait for the power to just come back. Big mistake. Huge mistake. See, the house was already getting cold, and it was getting cold really, really fast. Night came, and there was still no power. And I tried calling the electric company on my cell phone to find out when the power would be restored. And all I got was their pre-recorded message saying they were aware of the problem and it would be between 48 and 72 hours before the power would be back online. Quickly, the temperature in our house reached around 50 degrees. Now, around midnight, I went to check on my family, and what I saw made me just freeze in my tracks. My wife and my daughters were lying on the bed, embracing each other, shivering with cold, muffled in these thick blankets, and you can't imagine how I felt not being able to protect my family. I rushed over there. I wrapped my arms around them as much as I could in a futile attempt to give them what little body heat that I had. And then my 5-year-old Lisa, she said to me in this little shivering voice, "Daddy, I'm cold and I'm hungry. I wish we had a warm soup." And I just burst into tears. It was the most devastating moment of my life. I felt like my whole world just collapsed. And I felt powerless because there was nothing that I could do to protect the ones I cared for most. And I simply felt furious, outraged at the fact that I knew that I was the only one to blame for getting in this situation, and worse, getting my family in this dangerous situation. I was furious that I was completely dependent on the electric company to power my home, and furious about the fact that for so many years I let it slide and thought maybe it'll be better next year, while those money-sucking electricity mobsters bled me and my family dry. That was the moment I realized I was at the end of my rope. And I swore to myself I would never put my wife and 2 daughters in a similar situation again. We left for my parents the very next day, and we came back sometime later. And I immediately began researching every single energy alternative I could find. I made it my sole purpose, because leaving my family's well-being in the hands of electric companies, well, that clearly wasn't an option anymore. Not only did their power lines always seem to go down in unexpected moments, but their prices had been smothering me for more than a decade. And I imagine the CEOs going to the bank and cashing my hard-earned money, maybe even laughing while they're doing it. So I immediately began to look at the problem from every angle to break the chains that Big Electric had around my family. There had to be something. Now, frustrated, I created a list of what I felt my new source of energy should really be. Now, firstly, it needed to be cheap and easy to obtain or build. Easy to move. If I needed to bug out of town, it needed to be something that I could easily carry with me. Can use a reliable source of power. So if there is no sun, no gas, and no wind, it should still work fine without interruption. So I considered buying a heavy-duty generator. Now that's certainly a reliable source of power, so I looked pretty deeply into this option. However, when I started to consider the costs, I realized I was looking at a minimum